Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics at VS College of Pharmacy, Mumbai, your host, your host for today. I welcome you all on day 4 of AICTE sponsored ATAL FDP on Research and Innovation Ecosystems in Academics, Need of the Hour, conducted in hybrid mode. This 1 week online and 1 week offline FTP emphasizes on innovation ecosystem and quality management as pharma industry is growing rapidly. The AICTE's Atal Academy has given our institute an opportunity to be a part of their vision, that is, to empower the faculty to achieve goals of higher education such as access, equity, and quality through this faculty development program for training and exchange of experiences, and we are thankful to them for that. Let us begin with today's session. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce today's speaker to the audience. For day 4 of this Atal FTP, we have with us Dr. Anant Paradkar sir. Sir is Professor of Pharmaceutical Engineering and Director, Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering Sciences, University of Bradford. His major research interests are interdisciplinary approaches to enhance understanding in crystal and particle engineering and product and process innovation. Sir has published more than 175 peer-reviewed papers and supervised more than 40 PhDs. He has generated more than 5 million pounds funding from agencies and companies. Dr. Paradkar works very closely with companies in nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices sectors as a product and process innovator. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir will be giving his valuable insights on the topic melt processing technologies for the development of drug delivery systems. Melt processing has recently become a very popular approach considering the avoidance of solvents. Hot melt extrusion or HME has been widely investigated for amorphous and controlled release formulations. It provides a number of advantages, including PAT compatibility and continuous manufacturing. Injection molding and micromolding are currently being investigated at the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering Sciences and the downstream technologies to HME to design novel drug delivery systems. Sir will be discussing the challenges and opportunities today. Welcome again, sir, and I request you to start the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm at the onset, I'm very thankful to Vivekananda Society for giving me this opportunity to share some of our work in the area of melt process drug delivery systems, which we are carrying out for last 14-15 years at Bradford. I'm extremely thankful and honored to Bulani sir that he's attending this, he's expert in this area, and he's here. Professor Shide, Professor Rajeshri, and all, and Nehaji, thank you for a very kind introduction. Thanks. So I will start. We have 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
Yes, sir, 1.5 hours.
Yes. Okay. So, do I have rights to change the slide, or I need to?
I think Rajeshri madam has to do it.
Okay. So, I started at University of Bradford in 2008, but before that, a couple of years before that, in 2007, I visited Bradford. So, the picture which you have seen on the last slide is our university on some nice sunny days. But it was now the number of sunny days are increasing in UK. it is weather change, so we can find really nice days in Bradford also. To give you idea about University of Bradford, Bradford is 200 miles north of London. It is near to Leeds. So I went in 2005 to work with Professor Peter York. Professor Peter York is the world leading scientist who developed particle engineering technology of supercritical fluids, use of supercritical fluid for generation of inhalable particles. With his PhD student, he developed that technology and he started in spin-out company called Bradford Particle Design in 1994, and in 7 years' time, it was sold to Nectar Therapeutics that time for $220 million in 2001. Uh, and then he established the building which you can see here. This building called that time as Institute of Pharmaceutical Innovations was established in 2003, and I had a chance to visit here in 2005 and again 2007 for 1 year on government fellowship, on Royal Society fellowships. And I worked there in 2007. I will explain what work I did that time. And Professor York was very kind, and the university was very kind to appoint me as a professor there. In 2010, university provided me opportunity to lead the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering Science. It is an interdisciplinary research center. So it is a research center which runs across. Rajeshri, madam, next slide, please. Yeah. So we have two main research leaders in the university. Professor York is now retired. The other person on the right-hand side, whom you can see, is Professor Phil Coates. So Phil Coates established Center for Interdisciplinary Research Center in Polymer Engineering, IRC in Polymer Engineering. It is one of the leading research center for last 25 years. Their main area was melt extrusion for polymer and plastic industry. So when I went there, I interacted across these two buildings, established some relationship. Uh, what I found is in IRC there are state-of-the-art melt extruders, but along with that, the expertise which was required was also there. There are professors who are working on melt extruders for years together. So I worked across this and developed some innovative application, and that is how I entered there. In the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering Science, we have chemists working with us, physicists, computational chemists, polymer engineers, and pharmaceutical scientists. We work together. We do some fantastic fundamental research, but our main objective is how we can apply this our research outcomes to the industry. So translation of our research is one of the major objectives. Next slide, please. So what we offer to the industry, we start from pre-formulation studies, formulation development, process analytics. We have inline Raman, inline NIR, quality by design techniques. And apart from that, we also develop some of our own technologies and try to translate these technologies or commercialize these technologies in partnership with the companies. So this is our, next slide, madam. So this is our basic melt extrusion facility, which we established in 2010. So we have pharma grade extruder. So most of our equipments are from thermo. No doubt, we have all types of equipments, but pharma grade equipments are Thermolab, 14 mm, 11 mm. We have Thermo Hake extruder, and these extruders we have developed a small clean room facility just for students to get some idea about clean room, and some downstream facilities also for extrusion processes, pelletizers, cutters, uh, rollers. Like so, this is just a small part which I'm showing. It's a huge facility. Yeah. So what advantages melt processing provides? That main thing is the main two things I will say is solvent free and continuous manufacturing, and that really attracted me with this technology. Apart from that, it provides high yield compared to solvent-based processing. Reactive extrusion is possible. We have special reactive extrusion clean room where we conduct reactive extrusion processes. Rather than me, it is more into polymer department. We have nano compounding clean room, where we do mix the nano materials, because mixing nanomaterials in open without air handling system is risky. So we do mix polymers, the nanomaterials, glaze with polymer melts in a controlled atmosphere, and then the extrudates are brought out in the open. What are the challenges which we found is, first thing, the polymers. There are limited number of polymers which are available. And second thing is the knowledge about the polymers. All of us are from pharmaceutical background, and we handle. Sorry, if we see the literature available, it is about the polymer solutions more rather than polymer melt. So fundamental about rheology of polymer melt, you will find lot of papers about polymer solutions, viscosity, rheology of polymeric solutions, but very limited knowledge. And especially when I started in 2005, the first paper which I published was about capillary rheometry of some pharmaceutical polymers. Then processability is another issue. One aspect which we have to keep in mind is when we process the melt extrusion, polymer through melt extrusion or delivery system through melt extrusion, it needs to be processed. The properties of the mix should become processable, and for that, what we many times do is add plasticizer, uh, and this plus addition of plasticizer keeps the system gas transition low, increases the total mass of the system. So these are the challenges which we come across here. So one objective or one approach which is required is can we do plasticizer-free solid dispersions, which will have high TG also. Uh, and I'm going to show you the example, one example where we did this, reported that. Then there are downstream issues. One of the problem with hot melt extrusion, that hot melt extruded systems are the polymer aggregates, or sorry, polymer process melt process systems are relatively hydrophobic. Plus plasticity is an issue because these are plasticized, and we have to, many times the objective is to convert it into tablet form. You need to provide the size reduction process. There are many very few polymers which are in that range, available in that range. So downstream becomes one challenge, and design and scale up knowledge at the academic level is also, and even company level, when I experience in the UK, is very limited. So now how we can address some of these issues is mainly interdisciplinarity. So our main objective is, can we use the expertise of engineers, and as a formulator I work, plus some computational people, and how we can do work together to solve these problems. So the first this was the work I think I carried out in 2010, 11, 12, no, maybe 12 sometime. So we were working very closely with Shinetsu that time, and Shinetsu wanted to test some of the develop understanding about the properties of their polymers for melt extrusion. And HPMCAs, they were trying to promote that time and comparing it with spray drying as well as hot melt extrusion. And there was some industrial project running at the same time. One of the advantage, and Kulani sir is here, of hot melt extruder, especially a twin screw extruder, we can have different shear zones. So temperature profile can be changed. Shear profiles of the in the extruder can be changed. So we have this is as shown just the screws and how different screw elements we tailor just to achieve desired screw geometries. And we have engineering, so our students get trained by engineers. I'm not the best person to do this, but Professor Adrian Kelly, with whom I work very closely, he is expert on extrusion, worked for 30 years in this area. So that time, we thought how we can, HPMCAS is again really difficult to handle material, high TG material. And when we tried to plasticize it with PEG, there were degradation issues with that. But surprisingly, ibuprofen itself is a good plasticizer. And the system was plasticized with ibuprofen. We can process it at 100 degrees or below 100 degrees also. The only limitation is load of drug. So drug load was, we could not go above 33% because ibuprofen has a glass transition temperature of about minus 49 to 50 degrees. And if you try to push more than 30% or 35% of ibuprofen in the system, it will lose its complete rheology will change. It will become runny liquid. You can't process the material. Now there are a few papers which show that explain about ibuprofen as a plasticizer. After this, another equipment I'm going to discuss about melt extruders later also. But in 2015, 14, 13, 14 sometime, we were running a big collaborative programs with China. So we have a big program called as Science Bridges China. So it is the bridge between China and UK. We do have had similar program with India, but it was in the management area. When one of the Chinese presenter was presenting about a mill, a milling machine, they call it as solid state shear mill. It is a pan mill. It is a pan mill which has been designed at Sichuan University in Chengdu, and they use it for crushing of rubber tires, making or polymers. Recently, we have a project with engineering department has a project with them for circular economy, how we can recirculate the materials. So it is nothing but that was one stator and one rotor, and there is here I have shown a simple diagram. I will explain this once I introduce the design or sorry the process of co-crystallization. But here I have shown the grooves. They have really, it's a and now the new machines are further designed, further complicated. They have cooling jackets available, and in these grooves, the material, when it is rotating, at the same time it is crushed, and literally in a fraction of minutes, or in 5 to 10 minutes, you get complete solid dispersion. I did not know Bulani sir is here. I would have shared some of the data, or I will send you, sir, some of the data of what in solid dispersion what we processed here. And this mill, the advantage of this mill over hot melt extruder, no doubt this is not available in pharma grade, but this mill is really, I worked, stayed in China for 1.5 months to work on this mill. I was so fascinated that it is wonderful. So it is just like our chakki or atta mill, but very well designed machine. There is another company, and it is again so dispersal technology. So Professor McGuinness in Texas, he has worked. The mill is developed by an engineering company, and Texas University has group again similar to us. They are pharmacy people. They work together, and the technology of dispersal technologies, the company is based on around this mill. Nobody knows about exact configuration in the mill, but this mill also can extremely high shear it provides, and it, you can prepare plasticizer-free solid dispersions. So same solid state shear mill can also prepare plasticizer-free, and this mill also dispersal kinetisol is the technology which they call it as. Yeah, next slide, please. So we did some comparison between hot melt extrusion and solid state shear mill. So what we did is we tried to make solid dispersion of paracetamol. We thought that let us make solid dispersion of paracetamol. In Sachin Korde, one of my PhD student that time, he worked really hard on this, and we did process the combination of one part of paracetamol and 2 parts of HPMC, so hydroxy phthalate, so hydroxypropyl HPMC P. So phthalate instead of acetate succinate, it is phthalate ester. And we did process it once with HME and once with solid state shear mill S3M. But in hot melt extruder, we could not process it without plasticization. So we had included 10% triethyl citrate as an plasticizer, and whereas in case of solid state shear mill, we did not require any additive additional plasticizer. No doubt, in hot melt extruder, there are number of publications where instead of adding PEG or triethyl citrate or even PEO as a plasticizer, there is intermittent plasticizer. So supercritical CO2, if you can pass into the extruder, supercritical CO2 works as a plasticizer, and as soon as the material is comes out at the other end, supercritical CO2 will get evaporated or will get removed, and your solid particles will be ready. Next slide, please. Now here you can see when we processed it at under 2 conditions. So in hot melt extruder, the temperature which we had to raise was around 150 degrees Celsius, and you can see the material what we obtained. Whereas in case of and it was residence time was 5 minutes. It is we didn't do complete systematic analysis that time, but I think think it was around 5 to 8 minutes sometime. Whereas in case of S3M, the material was, the residence time was less than a minute. Material color was completely, totally different. There was signs of degradation in hot melt extruder. One thing which is possible, and we did not analyze it completely, the S3M samples. You can see here porosity generated in S3M, and I hope it was some degradation of polymer which must have acted, or depolymerization of polymer has obtained. Something has evaporated in the system, and that has caused porosity, or these may be small amount of moisture, but that moisture could not be seen in case of hot melt extruder, but in case of S3M, it was observed. We could observe that the material obtained from S3M was very easy to crush because it was not plasticized system. So that is one of the advantage in case of S3M. Yeah. Next slide, please. So S3M provides advantage that low residence time and plasticizer-free processing is possible, whereas hot melt extruder required plasticization, but at the same time, it was a controlled system. Because the equipment has been well controlled, the designs are well controlled. But the problem is in China, we did not have much control on the equipment, whatever was available. But now the recent one which we have, it has far better control. Now, another thing which I worked on, used extruder and filed patent on that, was pharmaceutical co-crystals. And we were the first group to develop how we can use melt processing system, or mainly the hot melt extruder, to prepare or manufacture co-crystals. So what is co-crystal? Co-crystal is, in simple word, in a same crystalline lattice, instead of one type of molecule, there are two types. So it is a multi-component crystal lattice. Whereas in case of, so salts are also multi-component, but in salts, these are ionic molecules, so ionic bonding is there. In case of co-crystals, it is hydrogen or halogen bond is there. So these are relatively, so these are non-covalent bonding compared to salts. These are the bonding, bond strength is low. So these are called as co-crystals. Next slide, please. Now, why co-crystals are prepared? Co-crystals are prepared for different purposes, like maybe to enhance the rate of dissolution. One of the classic example of drug which has been processed in that or co-crystal has been prepared is carbamazepine. Carbamazepine forms co-crystal with saccharin. The recently approved, though I'm saying recently, it is 3-4 years back, the drug which has been approved as a co-crystal and which is on the market, entered into market. Now I think it has been withdrawn for some reason. So it is Welsat and sacubitril co-crystal. Encetrol is I think the brand under which it is available. Sorry. Another thing for which to change the properties of the drug, mainly mechanical properties of drug can be changed. Example is paracetamol. So we all of us know that paracetamol is really difficult to compress. If you prepare co-crystal of paracetamol, the slip planes are formed due to the layered structure of the co-crystal, and it can be compressed better. And this was published by a very reputed group in Cambridge, led by Professor Bill Jones. Now Bill Jones has retired. Yeah, tell me, sir. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
May I
Yes,
just inform you? I heard you nearly for half an hour.
yes,
India and my company
yes,
are the most original people to have developed various plastic processing machines and mostly extrusions.
yeah,
We have supplied the machines to the pharma companies
yes,
and to the food processing companies. But what we find in India,
yes,
the pharma companies, there are so many,
yes,
still they are not bent upon to develop this segment of formulation.
yes,
So somehow from your knowledge, if you can keep us informed and our college also,
yeah.
what are the products which are now being done in UK, USA, so that you see our pharma companies,
Can we?
our faculties can virtually work on them.
Yes, definitely,
I
sir.
can tell you whatever the things that you spoke on the heart. Now, this is my day to day business, and we have developed some difficult products,
Yeah.
which is by co-extrusion.
Oh, okay.
That means, yes,
So it's
and we have given to Cipla.
there is
So it
really
is a very tough job. It took me nearly 1 year to develop
right.
everything to achieve to their standards of the FDA. So
Yes.
we can do it, but
Oh,
what
definitely.
we need is the knowledge on the polymers, as you rightly said. If those studies on the polymers and combined with the API or the uh, pharma compounds, we can really do wonders in India.
Yes, yes,
And
exactly.
still, you will find even the pharma colleges, I have written to so many, they can't afford to buy the machine. They say it is beyond our capacity.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
I know.
somewhere you see, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir.
somewhere,
Yeah,
yeah, you can go ahead.
yeah. No, thank you.
Go ahead.
Very valid
I
point
will.
you have
Uh,
said, sir. And this is our experience also. You won't believe.
I can tell you, keep our college posted with the information
Yes, yes.
that you have gathered,
Oh, definitely,
and
definitely.
we can, in turn, really show you what we can do
Yes,
and how our students and faculties both learn
yes, yes. No,
this segment of the formulation.
no, and I did not
Thank
know
you
that.
very much.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you. It is really,
Yeah,
and I did not know about your association and with Vivekananda Society. I think it is.
yeah, yeah.
We should focus at everything around hot melt extruders. Uh,
I, I've given the machine to the Central Industrial Science um,
CSIR labs.
various projects
Yeah,
for the pharma as well as for the food, and they are running very well.
yeah,
But in India, we do not expand further research.
exactly.
Many times I help students to do their PhD. I help them, but then the matter remains at that level.
Yeah,
It should
I-
go to the industry. It should go advantage to the customer also.
exactly, exactly. Uh, and that is something I'm going to show in my next 10-15 minutes. So this is so I came across one paper by Professor Bill Jones. Thank you. This is very useful and very encouraging for me. So if you take caffeine, caffeine forms hydrate. And to avoid hydrate formation, they have shown that you can use co-crystal. So this is different ways by which co-crystals can be used in pharmaceuticals. Next slide, please. Now, one
Let
important,
me tell you,
tell me.
let me also tell you, there is a big scope in the herbal compounds.
Oh, yes.
And I have given the machines right from 2007 till today.
Yeah.
Even one machine today I have sent to Goa.
Okay.
The herbal compounds, only problem is of real wear and tear
Yeah.
because it is going to be the dry extrusion. Heat is not required. It is the frictional heat which is being used. But even then, we cover it for the water circulation. So a lot can be done, but what we need is more knowledge from abroad.
Yes, yes, definitely. And really, sir, I will be very keen to come and see you. This this visit is very short, but in November again I'm planning, and I would like to come and visit you and discuss. This will be exciting opportunity for me. So how this, thank you, how these co-crystals are produced. So co-crystals can be produced by solution techniques. You can do simple solution crystallization. You can apply energy using ultrasound, or it can be produced by spray drying, supercritical fluids. But while doing all these, the solvent, which is amount of solvent involved, huge amount you require. Energy requirements are huge. Pollution issues are high. Uh, but still, companies do crystallization by these techniques. But when I went to UK in 2005, before that, in Cambridge, Professor Bill Jones has shown that, oh, you don't need to do all these things. Simple grinding in a mortar and pestle also forms co-crystal. So that he called it as, and Professor Bill Jones spent his 20 years of career on the small ball mill and a mortar pestle and number of publications. And but he's mainly, he was chemist. Another technique which, so that time I really, when in 2005, 2007 even, I did not know the word co-crystal. But one PhD student, the photograph which I have shown, he's Dave Berry. And Dave was a PhD student working that time. I was a visiting researcher, and I asked Dave, what are you working on? He said, I'm working on uh, co-crystal. I said, how do you prepare co-crystal? He has shown me this method under microscope on a slide. So suppose A and B are the two components of which you want to generate a co-crystal. Keep them on a slide on a hot stage microscope. Start hitting the low melting component, and then high melting component first, solidify it at the boundary of that, keep the low melting component, and start hitting it, and you will see at the boundary there is new phase comes out. I went from typical pharmaceutical background, and he was from chemistry background. And I said, where are these co-crystals? So few milligrams of co-crystals they could generate. I said, what is use of this? I gave him a quick lecture in industry. It will be of because I did not understand much on fundamentals. Next slide. And one day I was going through a polymer laboratory, and I saw melt extruder there. And I said, oh, I can use it. Can I, what there is doing under microscope, can I do it in the hot melt extruder? And to your surprise, so what we did is we have introduced drug and a co-former into the melt extruder. We used extruder as a reactor. We changed the thermal profile of the system. Shear regime we changed by different shear screw geometries. And to our surprise, we so the first co-crystal which I prepared was ibuprofen and nicotinamide co-crystal. and you can continuously ibuprofen and nicotinamide was fed from one side, new crystals were formed on the other side. And what was happening is these co-crystals are pure co-crystals, solvent-free, continuous manufacturing, high yield, 100 grams goes in, 100 grams comes out, and we prepared kilos of co-crystalline, whereas nobody was doing that time. When I thought about this and we filed a patent, that in next 6 months, the another publication which came up was from Amgen. So in US, Amgen had thought about using extruder for co-crystallization. Unfortunately, they discontinued their drug and they never progressed with that. But we could get nice uniform co-crystals, and those are free flowing. You can directly compress them into tablet with small amount of lactose or anything. But as Bulani sir said, exactly same thing happened. I went from all over all companies, big pharmas, small pharmas, and everybody said, "Oh, we are not interested in this." And this is around 15 years back, and we are not interested in co-crystal. Co-crystal is not our priority, or it is high temperature processing. Drugs may degrade. We don't want to take risk. All these excuses, and at the same time, that time FDA guidelines about co-crystals were not very clear. So we tried this patent for around 6 years, must have lost around 50,000 to 100,000 pounds in this thing. And everybody used to say, oh, there is no point in doing a process patent because it can be bypassed easily, which I agreed. But solvent-free continuous co-crystallization, we really did it first time. And that on that I received 500 £500,000 grant and many other grants on that to study how exactly melt extruder works and makes this manufacturing of co-crystal possible. We discontinued this, but we learned many things. And one thing, and then I used melt processing for, and I thought that instead of process, let me go into product. And I worked on a very simple product, which is effervescent products. All of us know how effervescent is popular, contains simple citric acid and sodium bicarbonate. But citric acid, sodium bicarbonate, in presence of very small amount of moisture in the air even, react, and next water molecule is liberated, and that reaction once started cannot be controlled. So how industry is doing. So again, what happened, this idea also came up from one of the companies in India. Like I am giving lecture today, one of the small company of my friend, he invited me, and I was explaining how beautiful is hot melt extruder, and we can use it for different purposes and co-crystallization. And he's exactly what Bulani sir said. Company said, melt extruder is not something we can buy. It is out of our reach. Our main problem is these effervescent tablets manufacturing. It is very difficult. Can you help us with that? I did not realize that I can do anything on that. And he explained me what are the problems. The problems are, next slide, please. The reaction occurs at around 40 to 50% RH, which is our GMP manufacturing condition. The reaction, due to this reaction, around 30 to 40% even CO2 is lost before even the tablet goes into the glass of water. So how it can be avoided or reduced? The only way to reduce is to dehumidify the complete manufacturing area. And now you can imagine if you have to, from 40 to 50% RH, you have to dehumidify your manufacturing area to 20% RH or 10% RH, how expensive it will be, and how much burden it will be in terms of carbon footprint. In terms of cost, here is cost comparison. From instead of 46, so consider Mumbai air, which must be 70% RH around. In UK, we have 70-80% RH all the time. To bring it to 46%, you require, this is around $3, suppose. If you have to do bring same air to 25% RH, you will require 4 times that. And it is further difficult in India because temperature is very high. Temperature will be 40 degrees, humidity will be 80%. Imagine to bring down the temperature, as soon as you bring down the temperature, humidity goes up, it becomes very expensive, and that is why effervescent is one product where India is not competitive because of high temperature and high humidity thing. Consider area like Nagpur, where you will have high temperature, no humidity, but try to bring the energy required to bring down the temperature. Or consider on the other hand Mumbai or Madras, Chennai, bringing down temperature as well as humidity, very expensive process. So, and after that, you need to, because the tablets are highly sensitive to moisture, you need some plastic packaging like these plastic tubes. Now, I will give you again the comparison. These plastic tubes generally contain 20. What are the typical products? Vitamin C tablets, all nutraceutical tablets, supplements are in the effervescent forms because elderly people use it very commonly. They have swallowing difficulty. They will prefer this. This plastic tube containing 20 tablets of vitamin C is available in the UK for £1, which is in 100 rupees. Go to Amazon India, it will be 500 rupees. So why it is so expensive? Why in India we cannot supply it in? And this is on supermarket at £1. So literally, manufacturer is supplying it at 20 to 30 p. The whole tube, packed tube with material. So the India cannot compete in this area. So next slide, please. So we tried to understand exactly what is happening here. So we have used a very simple machine, a gravimetric analysis called dynamic vapor sorption. We keep what is dynamic vapor sorption or DVS? DVS is nothing but a microbalance on which you can keep the material, and instead of desiccator, it is a desiccator only. But at suppose humidity will be 10%. Once your material is equilibrated at 10%, humidity will go to 20%. So, and how much mass increases per humidity, you will understand from this. Next slide, please. So the same way, now when we kept citric acid in this gravimetric chamber, we saw that 35%, it takes 35% moisture, whereas sodium bicarbonate takes only 0.32% moisture. So citric acid is really hygroscopic, but still it doesn't take lot of moisture, still around 60% RH. Then why this is destabilizing? Next slide, please. You can see when we have kept the mixture of 1 part of citric acid and 1.5 parts of sodium bicarbonate, which is typically the typical composition. Literally, at between 40 to 50% RH, it has taken only 0.1 to 0.2% moisture, but that was enough to start the reaction between the two. And suddenly the reaction CO2 was released, which is indicated by loss of weight. So reduction in weight is loss of CO2. So we understood the problem. Rather than problem is practically, you can see it on the manufacturing scale, but this gives us idea that what is happening exactly. Next slide, please. So what we did, we prepared co-crystal of citric acid. So we thought that can I block the water absorbing sites of citric acid by co-crystallization, and we formed co-crystal of citric acid. And to our surprise, now citric acid takes only 0.2% moisture. So it has become non-hygroscopic when it was co-crystallized. And this was the patent which we filed in 2015. Next slide, please. And when we did this, we prepared mixture of co-crystals and with sodium bicarbonate, and it was stable. There is no weight loss, and this is with what we called as Effer Shield. We trade name we have protected was Effer Shield. Next slide, please. So, what is Effer Shield? Effer Shield is nothing but a effervescent composition where citric acid or the acid component is present as a co-crystal. This is the simple patent. If any tablet is or product contains acid in the form of co-crystal, it is comes under Effer Shield patent. And this patent was licensed to a company called Octopoda Innovations. And our manufacturing partner to do this is Health Innovations in the UK. They manufacture it. Patent is with Octopoda Innovations. Next slide, please. Here is simple example what happens if you try to do simple effervescent tablet at 40% RH, you will see in 12 hours the tablet collapses. Whereas make Effer Shield tablets for 30 days it is stable. So now you don't need to have hydrothermal control. You don't need to dehumidify your air, which is the main advantage. You have reduced carbon footprint. Okay. Next slide, please. Second major problem with effervescent product is high sodium content. Who uses really or major consumer class is elderly patients who already have hypertension, cardiac conditions, and they are daily consumers of 1 or 2 tablets, effervescent tablets. So they are taking a large amount of effervescent, which is not realized. One tablet of effervescent tablet is contains sodium equivalent to eating 100-gram potato chips. So when we take one tablet, we should have guilty feeling of eating 100-gram potato chips. Or, in other words, if you have to eat potato chips, eat 100-gram potato chips and think I have just taken one effervescent tablet. So it is that, but and day in and day out, patient is taking this. We could, because in our process there is no loss of CO2. Our tablets contain 1/5 to 1/6 sodium level compared to conventional effervescent. So this is our low sodium effervescent shield is one of the major advantage. Next slide, please. The most important thing is packaging. Now we discuss what are challenges in fact. So effervescent products came in pharmaceuticals was by Seltzer, brought it in 1899, the first reference when I saw. And that time the packing was in a glass bottle with cork cap. In 1920, the next innovation came up was screw cap bottle. In 1960, when polymers started coming everywhere, plastic bottle came, and in the cap there is silica gel. So this plastic bottle is can be recyclable plastic, but we know how long does it take to recycle. But now your cap cannot be recycled because it contains silica gel, so you can't throw it in the recycle bin. So what we did in major innovation is now our tablets are available in home compostable paper packaging. So you completely get rid of plastic packaging material. So that is major packaging innovation, which happened because we could make the change by melt process system. Next slide, please. But when we were doing this, 6 months back, or rather 6, 8 months back, a new opportunity came up. All everywhere during these in last 2, 3 years, huge awareness has been created about plastic. The we all of us know what are uh, the what we have to do to cut down plastic. So home care sector, cleaning sector is one major area. We use globally more than 29 billion plastic containers every year. So this is what we put in the waste uh, here. And all these single-use plastics in the coming out from home care, how you are going to take care of this? They contain 95% water and 5% solids, the active materials, cleaning materials. So this concept came up that what we can't bring in solid eco-cleaning product and get rid of the plastic, and instead of using single use plastic, we can use uh, bottle for life. Next slide, please. But all these eco-cleaning products, they contain large amount of surfactants, salts, oils, very difficult to form the tablet. We had filed the patent on Evershield, which was filed in 2015. It was granted in US in 2019, granted in Europe just last week, and it has been granted in India. We are fighting China. We don't know. We need to. We'll get that, but we'll have to make restrictions on that. Yeah. Next slide, please. If you try to make eco-cleaning product tablet, you will find these type of issues because eco-cleaning tablets are more hygroscopic, contain large amount of salts and nasty materials. Uh, your tablet machine will be really a mess. All types of sticking, picking, ejection issues will be there. Next slide, please. And see the tablet. The tablet, if you conventional tablet eco-clean product, even if you can compress it in 30 days, the tablet has swollen, it has reacted completely, it has completely gone. Next slide, please. See, the one tablet which is on the right, left-hand side is the tablet prepared by conventional technique. It has expanded so much in 1 month. The other tablet is so here we use the trade name Evershine. It is same again here also. Citric acid is in the co-crystal form, but the trade name has been changed because of the sector had changed. We don't want to use the same trade name in both sectors. Yeah, next slide. So a simple material innovation, simple citric acid converting into, and nothing has been really big invention from our side. Everybody knew that co-crystals can prevent moisture uptake, but we control reaction using that. Because of that, manufacturing innovation has happened. We expect it will completely revolutionize how effervescent tablets are manufactured. And packaging has also innovated. Instead of plastic packaging, we get rid of plastic and go into tablet. So now you can get all these the cleaning product tablet because of low regulatory barriers have already entered into the on the UK market. It is on the UK superstores available from last month. Yeah. So each tablet which we sell avoid or reduces use of one plastic bottle. So in last 2 months we got rid of 75,000 tablets have gone in on the UK market. So 75,000 tablets in the just test run have gone out. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now another this is the company Explore. It is a European company, and it is similar to, but it is a vertical twin screw extruder. And this is very small. We can run even. We have this machine. Company has provided us this machine just to do some testing and develop some more understanding. Low residence time, rapid, for example, if you have to do some rapid screening, we can use this. We can use this for continuous film manufacturing also. Small amount of course, but it is nice machine to operate. Yeah. Next slide, please. We also do some film extrusion. So we use, for film extrusion, generally single screw extruder is used to avoid the pulsation coming from twin screw extruder. And we are trying to develop some mucoadhesive patches using this. So this is another application of melt processed systems. Next slide, please. Another thing which we do is injection molding. So molding is again used in polymer and plastic industry for years and years together. But in pharma, we haven't used it much. So we thought that no doubt there are no GMP grade molding machines available, and there are challenges with molding of pharmaceuticals, but there are opportunities also. So we have excellent molding as well as micro molding. What happens in case of micro molding? The shear regime is extremely high because the polymer melt now should the geometries are the aspect ratios are different, and the melt should penetrate up to that part. I will show you one of the examples. So this is a small extruder. We have very large extruder, small molding machine, Hanup, which we use, and there is another company of which we use micro molding machines. Next slide, please. So what happens in a typical molding machine? There is a single screw extruder which acts as a mixing or propelling device, as well as acts as a piston. So here you can see the plastic granules or the material goes in the extruder, in the barrel, it gets melted, and then it is the single screw will act as a plunger. It will piston. It will push the material into the mold cavity. Where exactly now the cursor is the molding cavity, is the shape. But before that, there is one stem-like structure which is called as sprue, and that is one of the challenge how you will overcome. There are hot runner systems. But next slide, please. So this is typical what happens in when you are using molding process. And Shiv Prasad Deshmukh, he worked and a couple of more did their PhD with us on injection molding. So a hopper, a barrel, push the material, it passes. So it is the same process used to prepare the bucket. We try to use it for making tablets. What is advantage? It is continuous machine. If you can develop this technology, scale up this technology well and utilize it properly, it will completely replace the tableting machine, which we haven't thought about any innovation in last maybe 200 years since tablet machine. We are doing the same process in and out. Yeah, next slide, please. Here are the tablets which we prepared by. So this is the typical, this is for research purpose, a mold caplet type tablet we can prepare, and you can see the tablets which are packed, and go to next slide, please. You can see how the tablets look in the center. There are tablets in this. Yeah. So these are molded tablets, and we did So these are ibuprofen solubilus tablets which were prepared by injection molding, and these provide extremely long dissolution times. This is in type 3 dissolution test apparatus we conducted dissolution. Next slide, please. One of the problem with hot melt, injection molded tablet or any melt processed material, surface becomes hydrophobic. It is zero porosity system, highly compressed. So it takes long time. Now here you can see after around 2 hours, ibuprofen, which was amorphous, has been converted into crystalline form. So crystallization is taking place, and all our purpose of forming amorphous has been defeated here. Yeah. And this contains large amount of ibuprofen, around 33%. Next slide, please. You can see different tablets have shown different release profiles. So you can tailor release profile of the tablet by changing the polymers or changing the drug type. And you can get extremely slow releasing tablets or fast releasing tablets also. And you can see pellets are giving good, significantly better, faster release. But if you want slow release, and that is why this is best drug delivery system for implants, IUDs, all these things. Yeah. Next slide, please. Then with one company, there is no problem for me to disclose. So we worked with AstraZeneca on this injection molding project, and what we tried to understand is, can we make the release of drug and release of polymer at the same rate? So here you can see this paper has been published. I can send you the link for the paper, or I can share the copy of the paper. That we checked at what rate drug gets released and at what rate polymer gets released, and we designed a synchronous drug and polymer release. Nobody had done till now release of polymer. We tried to understand release of polymer with AZ drug. So that drug we did not disclose because it is AZ molecule, but that was immaterial. We showed that how it works. The next slide, please. This is an interesting application of injection molding and hot melt extrusion. All of us know about abuse-resistant systems. And so what is required in abuse-resistant system is the drug should be released in 12 hours time, at least 80%, but at the same time, drug should not be released in hot oil. So any abuse solvent should not be released in warm water, or orange juice, vodka, means alcohol, by any means where you think that the patient or the consumer will try to abuse the drug. So we used injection molded system. You can see it acts like a cage. The tablets, the two tablets. So injection molded tablet, and after dissolution, tablet remains almost same with small porosity, or the pellets you can see before and after dissolution. So shape of the pellets has not changed. What is it looks same, but drug has been released. So this is something we developed. The next slide, please. Here I'm trying to give you a very quick demo example of micromolding. So this is battlefield micromolding machine, and we use this to design microneedles. And microneedles generally have typical height of 400 to 600 micrometer, and the base is around 300 micron. So you can see the molded part. So this is 5 mm by 5 mm microneedle array. It contains only, it weighs 300 milligram. You can see the microneedles formed. So Karthik Nair, one of previous PhD student, he worked on this. Yeah, next slide, please. And you can see how the needles are uniform, and then after dissolution, what happened to the needles when we used some material which was dissolving or eroding polymer. Yeah, next slide, please. This is a company which has now been closed, but a European company, Ultrasion. And Ultrasion, instead of heating, one of the challenge in case of melt extruder, injection molding machine, the polymer and drug is, because molding machine is not does not provide efficient mixing. So what you need to do is take your drug and polymer, first pass it through the twin screw extruder, prepare pellets, then take those pellets and put it again in single screw extruder. So you are subjecting your drug and polymer to the heating process twice. So which is not something which is one of the drawbacks. What ultrasound has done is the pellets will go and directly by ultrasound, or powder can go, and by ultrasound it can directly melt the material. So this is there was a concept of ultrasound assisted tableting. Same thing they did it in molding process, but we did some work on this, but this company is now no more exists. It was European, I think Spanish company, which was existing that time. Yeah. We tried one interesting thing. One of our MSc student, I tried to see can we make molded tablet, and can we incorporate some solids into that. So here you can see what we did is we have taken a polymer and HPMC-AS as a polymer, EO as a plasticizer, polyethylene oxide, and added plus paracetamol and into that, and calcium carbonate. And we prepared pellets, and when we prepared the pellets, you can see this is micro CT image of the tablet. It shows that CaCO3 is at the periphery. You can you take the next slide, please? Next slide, please. When the sorry, the previous one. Yeah, and you can see when the tablet is dissolving, tablet was forming a donut type shape, and it started floating out. So we prepared different percentages of calcium carbonate and effect of calcium carbonate in a molded tablet. And it is, the objective here was to show the separation of solids during molding process, and that can be shown very clearly in this case. Yeah, the next slide, please. The last one. Yeah. So what I try to demonstrate here is number of advantages of hot melt extrusion, but at the same time challenges with hot melt extrusion. What I didn't include here is one of our paper which we published maybe 6-7 years back with one of our PhD student, Rishikesh, did that work, and that is degradation of even formation of carcinogenic material during hot melt extrusion. So and always we focus on drug, degradation of drug, but we never pay attention to degradation of the matrix or the polymer. So what we did is we have taken the polymer HPMC-AS again, acetate succinate, and what happened is acetate succinate, the ester linkage has broken, and succinic acid was formed, and succinic acid reacted at high temperature with another succinic acid molecule. Succinic anhydride was formed. Same way, it will form phthalic anhydride, and succinic anhydride at in higher concentration is acts as a carcinogen even. And this many times. So, and what we have done is we were trying to show what are the challenges. We are coming out with one more paper now. So this is, but what is required is interdisciplinary understanding. And exactly what Bulani sir said, and this is what I thought that time. If I can buy maximum one extruder in the lab, in my pharmaceutical lab, and then A plus
I think Sir has lost connection, network connection. I feel so.
Oh, I thought I have an internet issue.
No.
But
Yes,
sir is back.
I think that has disconnected for a moment. Hello,
Yes, sir.
connect. Thank you very much.
Neha, madam.
Thanks a lot,
Hello.
sir. Our moderator would like to summarize your important takeaways, and then we'll go ahead with question and answer. Neha, madam, over to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
very much.
Okay. Okay, sir, thank you very much. And I would like to here summarize your session. Of course, it had so many details, but a few points that I would like to mention here is, sir spoke about the various advantages and challenges of HME, and the new thing, in fact, new for us, we got to know is that how ibuprofen is a non-traditional yet potential plasticizer, and how critical is the the ratios of different polymers and their glass transition temperature. Supercritical carbon dioxide could be an intermediate plasticizer, and sir also showed examples by he showed the comparative study of HME versus solid state shear milling or S3M. Then pharmaceutically relevant crystals such as caffeines, which could serve as remedy for hydration, solvent-based techniques, as well as other solvent-free techniques like Koffler technique to generate the co-crystals. Other than this, uh, Sir mentioned about how he worked on the ibuprofen and nicotinamide co-crystals, if I'm not wrong, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. And then Sir in detail spoke about the effervescence products and his innovation in that. So with the help of graphs of dynamic vapor absorption, which is microbalance or a gravimetric technique, which measures how quickly and how much of a solvent is absorbed by a sample. It does this by varying the vapor concentration surrounding the sample and measuring the change in mass which this produces. With the help of DVS graphs, Sir explained the formulation and characterization of co-crystals of citric acid, and Shield, another patented innovation by Sir that could completely change the way of how the effervescent products are manufactured. And not just a manufacturing innovation, Shield also is a packaging innovation for sustainable environment, and we all should take inspiration from that. Lower sodium Shield shot had 1/5 to 1/6 sodium as compared to the conventional effervescent products. And Sir also touched upon the vertical twin screw extruder film extrusion machines for mucoadhesive patches, injection molding, and micro molding machines. With an example of ibuprofen solubles and ibuprofen felodipine pellets and tablets. So it explained how the ratio of different polymers influences the dissolution profiles of the drugs and how it can be modulated. So we also spoke about other applications like ultrasound assisted molding, uh, which after the uh, twin screw extrusion provides efficient mixing. Am I right, sir?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir. It was a very, very insightful session. Uh, any questions and answers? I'm going to, if any participant is having, I would read it here from the chat box. So we have a question by Dr. Indra Parab that all extrusion, solid dispersion, effervescent machines, etc., how the equipment validation, process validation, and cleaning validation will be taken care during commercialization, and how much yield or loss has to be, it is concerning.
Yeah. So this is in our experience when we do validation batches on extrusion. Generally, the loss is between 5 to 8%, not much loss. And it depends again. So we conduct studies with different screw speeds, screw geometries. Mainly, screw speed is one of the important parameter because as screw speed increases, shear increases, degradation chances are high, yield changes rather than yield capacity of the or output of the machine per unit time changes. So significantly different things.
Okay.
Means
So next,
because we need to take into consideration right in the validation process.
all right, sir. So next question is from our very own Dr. Supriya Shide, that whether co-crystals will change the nature of NCE leading to regulatory issues.
Oh yes. So co-crystals were in regulatory trouble for or discussion for a long time. Now co-crystals are considered. The guidelines are similar to what the guidelines for salt. But it has changed. It has become very easy to bring co-crystal to the market compared to what was 10 years back. There are a number of drugs, co-crystal drugs, which have come reached the market recently. I can send you the list of drugs which have in the co-crystal form are now on the market. There were drugs which must have formed the co-crystal in the past, but they were not recognized, approved as co-crystal, but unintentionally there was co-crystal formation.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. We have another question by Tanishka Thakre, and this is, how can we block the water absorption sites of citric acid by co-crystallization?
Oh, okay.
And which chemical is used for that?
Okay. So there are a number of, not all co-formers will block it. This is first thing. What is required is the bond between the citric acid and the co-former, the molecule which you select, should be strong enough. So there will be competition between the co-former, for example, nicotinamide and water molecule. Whosoever wins will decide. So if the bond between nicotinamide and citric acid is stronger, so amide acid bonds are generally stronger. So these materials are will be non-hygroscopic. Whereas, suppose if you take urea citric acid also forms a co-crystal, but the bond is not very strong. So urea citric acid co-crystal will not be non-hygroscopic. So you need to select a proper co-former, and that will give. Even you can generate control slow release or low insoluble co-crystals also. The concept is that co-crystals are always soluble or fast dissolving is wrong. There you can have, for example, if you know the famous case of melanin. So melanin is additive which is generally used in plastic. It contains large amount of nitrogen. But what happened is Chinese. So the pet food products, their pricing was dependent on the nitrogen content. So what happened? The Chinese manufacturers, they contaminated or intentionally added melanin into food product for uh, pets, animal food product. That has resulted in high nitrogen content. Melanin is water soluble. No problem with melanin. But we have another molecule, indigenous molecule in our body, which is cyanuric acid. Now, cyanuric acid and melanin forms a very strong bond and makes the co-crystal insoluble. And what happened? The kidneys of animals were damaged, and it was a big case. And this has to be, but that brought to light that cyanuric acid is soluble, melanin is soluble, but melanin cyanuric acid co-crystal is insoluble, and that damaged the kidneys. So what is most critical is how do you select a co-former? How is the bond between the co-former and your drug will decide how whether it will dissolve faster, will it remain stable, or it will dissociate as soon as it comes in contact with water.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question is in the same line of citric acid that Dr. Sunena wants to know that if isocitric acid is present in citric acid, then won't co-crystallization of both citric acid and isocitric acid affect the ultimate product of effervescence granules or tablets or any other EP that we are making?
There are recent publications around this about the isomers of materials and how much do they form, or D and L materials, how much do they affect. There are effects, but in terms of hygroscopicity, if you are saying, there won't be much difference which will happen. The kinetics of crystallization will change slightly, but not much on the hygroscopicity property of the material.
But sorry, sir, sorry to disturb you. But like you said that it affects kidneys, melanin, and some acid, citric acid.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same way, does will citric acid and isocitric acid, if they are converted into co-crystal, will it affect any part of the body?
So, so acid-acid bond is very weak. Okay. So citric acid even forms co-crystal with malic acid. So you can get citric acid, malic acid co-crystal. You can isocitric acid. I can't imagine structure very quickly. But even if it forms, it will not white. So this is if you take a pyridine molecule and acid, the pyridine and acid co-crystal will be very strong. Will be very strong. And you will see amine pyridines provide good stronger co-crystals. Any drug now, for example, you may form co-crystal of a drug, but as soon as it comes in contact with water, it dissociates, all your purpose is lost. So one of the tests which is done on suspension stability of co-crystal is one thing which they Dr. Rajan is saying that you cannot hear me, is it? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
sir, you are audible.
Maybe his message might be old message. I have seen just now. So, yeah. So it depends how you select a co-former. Select a co-former where hydrogen bond, the bond between the drug and co-former is stronger. The co-crystal will be insoluble or slow releasing will be stable.
Okay. Sir, I am from AISSMS. You were my external ones.
Good, I saw that.
Botra sir was my principal.
Last week I met Gitanjali Jog's husband in.
Hmm. Okay. Gitanjali was my senior.
Yes, so Gitanjali is in UK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir,
Thank
we'll
you.
go to the next question. Harsha Katpalia madam is asking, how is a drug excipient compatibility study is done for HME products?
So main thing for HME, what the drug compatibility or drug polymer compatibility issues are tested. One, apart from our conventional testing, one testing which has to be done is rheological properties of the melt alone. So first thing is degradation of drug, discoloration. Many times discoloration is caused. Some drugs, remember now that when you take it with lactic acid in no time will become lose its. It's just I'm forgetting. But rheological property plasticization of drug by of polymer by drug. Most of the drugs act as plasticizer. The extent to which they act as plasticizer is different. But most of the drugs, whether your drug is going to be stable, will you need any additional plasticizer? Generally, we need around 20% plasticizer. And will the drug and plasticizer will remain stable? One of the problem with plasticizers is plasticizers also degrade. The ability of plasticizer is one of the major issues. For example, yeah.
There is a disturbance, sir. We can continue.
So plasticizer, how you select the plasticizer will depend. First, for that you need to know about drug and polymer interaction. So melting points, glass transition temperatures, whether your polymer is crystalline or amorphous. That is also important. What is solubility of drug in your polymer melt? So what you should do is start adding 10%, 15%, 20%, and suddenly you will see initially there is no peak of the drug in the DSC, and you will start observing. So that shows that now drug is not soluble. Drug crystals are remaining, and that gives you tentative idea that what is the maximum amount, whether the mixture will be flowable. This is one major challenge in hot melt extruder, that the melt should be processable. If melt is not processable, now the only two options are with you: increase temperature of the temperature of processing, or increase plasticizer in the system. If you increase plasticizer, your system will be highly plasticized. You have to more energy you will have to input for uh, breaking the material again, and there is chance that amorphous material will get converted into crystalline form during that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, normally when we check the price of twin screw extruder and compare it with a single screw extruder, there is a drastic difference in the prices. So normally on the small scale, people use a small screw, I mean the single screw extruder. And when it goes to pilot plant and scale up, they use double screw. So what are the challenges which normally we come across when we go from a single screw from the lap scale to the twin screw?
So this is a major mistake. You can't use single screw and then switch to twin screw. These are totally different mechanisms those are working on. Single screw works does not provide any mixing. Single screw will just propel the material. That's the main thing. It will provide mixing, but very little mixing. And if you want to prepare solid dispersion, you need intense mixing water. twin screw extruder, if you want to mix drug in the polymer bed, you shouldn't use single screw extruder at all. So single screw extruder is not for preparing solid dispersion. Single screw extruder is not for single screw extruder is for propelling the material from one into another. So don't use single screw and try to scale up it to, on that basis to twin screw extruder. Twin screw and single screw will be totally different.
So we have to go for the higher costly equipment, that is your Thermo Fisher, which uses the twins.
There are many cheaper material. What you can do is go on non-GMP model
Okay.
for lab purpose. For development purpose, go on non-GMP, but at least all process will remain, mechanism will remain same. But going from single to twin will not work.
Sir, in the initial slides, you had mentioned about use of HM in nano formulation. So, can you elaborate how can they be used for nano formulations?
No, when I said about nano formulation, it is many times. So one aspect where twin screw extruders are used are to disperse nanoclays into polymers.
Okay.
It is difficult to disperse nanomaterials or nanoclays especially into the polymer bed, and that is done using a extruder. But doing these operations, handling nano materials is very risky. So you should do it under a controlled environment, and then once it has gone or immobilized in the bed, in the polymer matrix, then you can take it outside in the general way.
Sir, next question comes from our principal madam. How injection molded tablet was abuse resistant? Can you please clarify on that?
Okay. So what I can clarify here is it is the polymer selection. It is the composition which is the trickiest part. That the matrix which we have selected, those I can't disclose, but the matrix material which we selected are such that they will not dissolve in acid, those will not dissolve in alcohol. So, but at the same time, it can form small pores. So the major, so suppose 80% structure remains, 85% structure remains solid cage with small holes in that through which the drug can be released, but polymer will not go out. So in other words, what is going to happen if you take the tablet will release the drug, and tablet cage or tablet matrix will be excreted next day. That is the thing. So that's why the polymer matrix is highly resistant, and it is the property. But there are many melt extruded products were there. For example, the most the leading company in US, which has now been dissolved, and it was in abuse resistant. A family-owned business. There is Netflix film on that. This company, I'm just forgetting. But if you Google abuse-resistant forms, and US company, it was one of the leading companies, and the release was not really controlled. It was not working as abuse-resistant, and it was on the market, and it has to face major legal challenges. This is one of the challenge, but they had melt extruded systems. But the polymer performance, if it does not work satisfactorily, and that is the most risky part in abuse resistance.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Dr. Kunal Gokhale from LHH College. For a BCS class 4 drug, will this technology be useful to increase the solubility?
Yeah, solid dispersions can be used. No doubt, it can't change permeability. But co-crystals nowadays, recently, Professor Desiraju has published something on, I haven't gone in details, but or even Ashwini Nangia and Desiraju last week only published one review article on use of co-crystals for class 4 drugs. So no doubt, you can use definitely amorphous form as well as co-crystal form. But whichever form you use, the most important part is stability, whether your system will keep the material in the solution, because these are apparent. This is apparent increase in solubility, dissolution rate. And what we generally observed is we do it shows swing parachute effect. It will dissolve suddenly 10 times and it will precipitate out. So that is one of the challenges.
Thank you, sir. Sir, initially you had shown one picture regarding the various screws. Some angles you have shown 30, 60, 90. So that is the different screw designs, or when it is being rotated that they are acquiring the different positions?
These are designs. So when you put the screw elements, put at different angles, the shear which they provide will be different.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions.
Sir, just one request. We wish to buy a HME. So Rajeshri Madam will take your guidance to finalize the specifications.
Sure.
So that we will serve the purpose for which we wish. Yeah, we want to buy it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for this elaborate session, and all the participants are really satisfied with all the doubts they had about the HME, because this is being a bit new concept where very much of physics is involved as well in this, as well as engineering. I know sir's engineering is very much close to sir's heart, right? We refer your book, sir, of engineering. So now I will request our ICT team to present as a token of our appreciation a digital memento. ICT team, can you please take over? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Just a moment, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Really appreciate
It was
it.
indeed very interesting session, sir. Lot of learning.
Thank
Yes.
you. And thank you very much for being so patient on the theme of Anant Chaturdashi, and because all of you was having a lot of work to do for tomorrow, and yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, our delegates whole day attend their colleges and they attend these sessions. But I can see that enthusiasm and energy. It's all because of the topics and the speakers who make difference in our approach towards research. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And if you need anything, please contact me. Don't hesitate to contact me. Maybe couple of emails, reminders. You have to say that she knows this very well. So,